Welcome. I'm so honored that you're joining me today on Reclaim Your Life event. I'm Duane, the host and producer of the show. I'm a life recovery coach, but I really feel that I'm more of a transformational guide, helping women reclaim their lives and discover their authentic voice. This is the third season of Reclaim Your Life, featuring leading visionaries and heart-centered women whose passion through their work is to serve others and share their gifts to make the universe a better place. Each guest will share intimate details, how they transcended extraordinary challenges, loss, and in some cases trauma, to become the women they are today. And we have an amazing guest today. Stacey Curnow is a purpose and success coach who recently left behind a 20-year career in nurse midwifery, helping women give birth to babies, to help women and some very cool men give birth to their big dreams. She's the founder of MidWife for Your Life, a website, blog, and series of coaching programs. Hundreds of her articles have been published in print magazines and online. She's currently serving clients all over the globe, and you can learn more about Stacey at staceycurnow.com. And we need to add to this also that she's now a best-selling international author. We launched a book together last week that hit #1 on 5 lists on Amazon. So you have a new accolade there, girl.
That's true.
For choosing happiness. Yes.
Oh, so great.
So congratulations on that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And how lovely to be able to share the space with you 1 week after that amazing accomplishment. So
that
wonderful
launch,
to share that with you.
It was so exciting. It really was. It's amazing, Stacey, when women get together and collaborate, how powerful we are. I mean, we surpassed Oprah's Ruby on Amazon. And who are we?
And Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Exactly. It was amazing. It was amazing because there's women like you and the women that we're talking to on this series who really resonated with this topic of choosing happiness, right, in the face of enormous challenges and messy circumstances, that we can all choose happiness.
Yes.
And I think that, again, that's very, very resonant with us and with the women on this program. So thank you so much again for creating this space for us.
So you've had an amazing career birthing babies, bringing life into the world. What a gift that is. But tell us about that journey. And at some point, you didn't feel as connected to it, and you discovered you had another purpose, something, a higher calling.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because what I realized was, as yummy as it was to support those women and having their babies and being the first person to catch that baby and then pass the baby on to their mom and dad, what I realized is the best part of my day really was that time in the prenatal period when I had with just the woman and we were just talking about her dreams, her vision for her life now that this baby was going to be born. And I realized that, gosh, if I could take that little part of the day and make it my whole day, where I just got to spend time with women as they were envisioning their lives, giving birth to their big dreams, then that would be it. And so I listened to that. Again, it was very interesting because I had the first glimmer of that probably 6 years ago. It was in June of 2009 when I started my coaching business, but it was probably about 6 months before that I realized that I had this other dream, that I was surprised by it, I was challenged by it, I was made quite uncomfortable by it because, again, it seemed so uncertain to me. Again, what was certain, what was secure was my hospital job. And so to have this new dream pop up, I wasn't sure quite what to do with it yet. And again, I wonder, Mal, if you or our listeners have had that experience, right? That you have this, again, this inkling that there's something else that you feel called to, but you're not quite sure what to do with it yet, right?
I think as women, we all have that. But the sad part, Stacey, is that many don't follow through or pursue that desire that's starting to build within them. Now, you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned that you felt really challenged and uncertain. There was definitely an element of fear. You're leaving what you're used to potentially do something different. How did you work through that?
Well, one piece was I wanted to be able to share, again, what was happening for me at that time. So again, it was an awareness that there was something that seemed really interesting to me, but I didn't know what to make of that. Again, I didn't know, I knew at that time that there was a profession of coaches, but I didn't know any coaches. Again, I didn't know what that would mean. I remember, reading about Martha Beck, reading her column, like in O magazine, and seeing that she was a life coach. And she had been someone I had been following since the beginning of my midwifery career, because she had written a book called Expecting Adam about her experience of having her son who had Down syndrome. So I had read that as a midwifery student, and that had informed me so much, helping my patients through, again, undesirable diagnoses. So again, I saw that she had made this transition. So I thought, again, just having one model of that helped me. But again, to connect with, so that was like the spark, the interest. But then how I was tamping it down, because again, it was so uncomfortable, uncertain for me. But I remember, Mel, this was again back in 2000, early 2009, when it really felt like the internet was becoming more accessible to me. I mean, at that point, I didn't even have a Facebook account. I was just starting to learn about blogs, right? It's hard to imagine now, but really try to think back to what you were doing in 2009. It wasn't a lot on the internet, I bet, right, because it again, for me at least, it had not popped yet. So I was starting to get interested in this world. And I remember, Mel, I would have had dinner. I'd had dinner at like 6 o'clock or something, 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, just as I got my young son down to bed. I would come and I would sit in front of the computer with like a bowl of ice cream, and I would just eat like bowl after bowl of ice cream, or cereal, or it was something in a bowl, I just remember. And I would be sitting in front of the computer, like watching these people's lives. And again, that was what was so fascinating about blogging, was that people were writing about their lives and their struggles and their challenges. But I realized I was on the other side of this computer, and I was like numbing myself with food. And I really realized, like, something's happening here. I'm really interested in these people's lives who I don't know at all, but they're just revealing them online. But yet I am staying, small. And I was really aware of it, Mel, that I was numbing myself with food at that time. So again, I know you as this life recovery expert, right? What do women do? What do human beings do when they're uncomfortable, when they're uncertain, when they're afraid, when they feel like they don't know what to do, right? They numb their feelings, right? Whether it's with food or alcohol or drugs or shopping or sex, right? Have you seen that as well?
Yes. It's the Band-Aid for the wound, and it's that fear. The fear is that wound. And it's sometimes, as you said, it's not even conscious. You're just shoveling it in. You, thank goodness, were aware that you were eating bowl after bowl of ice cream. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. But many people get very far down the wrong path before they even realize something like that.
I know.
Fear is terrible. It's awful. It's paralyzing.
Exactly. And I share that because I wonder if a woman could, realize, okay, what is she doing at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, again, after her major responsibilities of the day, having gone to work or having, taken care of the kids. What is she doing in those moments of, again, quiet? And again, they may be very, very few, but again, if they can just look at themselves, like, what are they doing at 7 or 8 o'clock at night? And if it's getting into watching television, or scrolling through Facebook, or eating or shopping online, again, realize, again, this is what I want to offer. Like, this is your wake up call, right? Like, if you are doing that, Why are you doing it? And is it to numb yourself? Is it to disconnect from what I believe? Again, this was what was happening with me, is I was aware of this interest, in coaching. I was aware of my interest in this online world, but I was keeping myself small and hidden behind this computer, behind these bowls of ice cream. And so I just ask, right, that women listening to this, if they are doing this, realize that it is to create this barrier from really looking at, right, again, whether you want to call it numbing yourself or keeping yourself small, or creating a barrier from this thing that you really want to do. I mean, again, I talk to so many women who know that they're not doing what their purpose is, but they don't know. They say they don't know what their purpose is. And I always say, that's not true. That's not true. But you're keeping it hidden and under layers of whatever it is that you're doing to numb yourself, right?
So how do you peel away the layers? How do you figure out what that purpose is? That's your specialty.
Yes. Well, there are several things. First of all, I ask them to stop doing the numbing behaviors, right? Because, I mean, again, I have yet to meet a woman who is living her purpose who doesn't do some of those numbing behaviors, right? Again, I haven't met them. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to first ask you to stop doing them and do anything else, basically. But really, if they're going to go hardcore, it would be to sit down, at their table, at their desk, at their couch, and with a journal, and to just write about how uncomfortable they are and how this sucks, how they wish, anything they would be doing, anything else, watching TV, eating ice cream, whatever. And then I would ask them to start dialoguing with those thoughts, right? Like, we have so many voices that are really competing inside our brain for attention. And we're all very common with that idea of the inner critic. But I think there are also other sources of wisdom, and we need to name them. So again, we can name the inner critic, we can name our intuition or our spirit guides or our guardian angels, or like our grandmother that we still, she's been dead for 20 years, but we still feel her presence and talking to us. So I would give those sources names, and then it would be like me. It would be Stacey. I really want people to write this out as a dialogue. So it would be Stacey, what am I hiding from? What is it that I'm finding so interesting about, Martha Beck, or about these people that I'm reading about their lives on these blogs? What is it that I find so interesting? Because in that desire, in that interest, there is a clue about their purpose, for sure. Then the other one, Mal, is they don't even have to excavate very far, because it's some particular challenge that they have gone through in their lives that they have solved for themselves, and now that is their purpose. Their process, their system for having solved that challenge for themselves is their purpose. Again, Mal, you're an excellent example of that, right? Someone who teaches women how to live in recovery, how to be this, this reclamation specialist, right? You went from your own dark night of the soul, and having solved that for yourself, having come out around the other side, you are the perfect person to guide and mentor other people through that, right? Isn't that your belief as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I found in my own life, and this may apply to you as well, that my most painful challenges have been my greatest teachers. I've learned more in those moments of challenge on how to grow and expand and connect with that inner voice, but not the critic, really my divine guidance.
And that took a lot of work. I mean, again, I want to underline the fact that this isn't easy. I mean, again, it's painful to sit on a couch alone with your notebook, trying to excavate, trying to connect with those the guidance, the divine wisdom. It is hard. I mean, I don't know if it's hard, but it's not what we're used to. It's not what we're taught. I mean, our culture gives us so many messages to disconnect. So to actually connect is something strange and unusual at first, but sticking with it, that's where all of the power lies, right? That's where you're going to get that divine guidance.
And also, Stacey, we're taught and raised to believe that the solution to things and what we want in life, those things all exist outside of us. When in fact, everything we need, all the guidance that we could possibly dream about and want, is already within us. If we will do what you're saying to do, is to sit down with that journal, recognize that dialogue, identify who is speaking. Is it your truth, or is it your ego giving you a tune-up? Which, you know, we all have that nasty little voice. I call mine Louise.
Absolutely.
It's that wounded child that says, no, 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 you can't do that. No, you're not good enough.
Right.
But if you recognize that nasty little voice for what it is, and then listen carefully to the other voice that's in there saying, wait a minute, let's think about this. You can proceed. You're so capable. You may have to take these action steps. You might have to create this plan or do this or do that. But you can do this. There is that other voice.
Absolutely. And again, I think that there are many voices, and that's why I really ask people to kind of name them all, because I don't feel like it's just the inner critic and it's just the inner wisdom. But again, there are spirit guides, there are, you know, I mean,
angels, relatives.
Angels, relatives, exactly. So just realize that you have this whole team available to you if you are willing to cultivate the relationship. So that's my thing, is like, develop the relationship. Is it going to be available to you immediately? It depends. Again, it's like some friendships you make so quickly and it feels like the bond is there very quickly. Others, you need to nurture it. So again, I'm all about the nurturing. And so I hope that people will be willing to do it, even if it doesn't come easily, because when they do, they will find that for sure it's available to them.
So now, step 2, they've sat down, they've journaled, they've recognized these voices, they have their, like their board of directors, let's say.
Yes.
And,
nice.
you know, we are the CEO, and then we have our board of directors, everybody that's talking to us. Where do we go from there?
We absolutely, I'm so glad you're underlining this point, because we absolutely have to take action. Again, I'm sure you've seen this with the women you've worked with too. It's called like analysis paralysis, or, I mean, just straight up, we all understand perfectionism. And so many women, I mean, they're so great at so many things, that they're great at being a mom, they're great at work, you know, everyone can depend on them, right? But again, it's like they have to show up for themselves, and they have to be willing to take imperfect action. I mean, I highlight the imperfect action, with so many women get paralyzed by that fear of not doing it well enough. And the majority thoughts are, you know, who am I to think I could do this? There's so many people who already do it. They do it better than me. They've been doing it longer. You know, who's going to listen or care about what I have to say? And for them, I just say, oh my gosh, who are you? Again, the Marianne Williamson quote, like, who are you not to? I mean, you are magnificent. And in fact, I truly believe that there are always, there are people that we are divinely contracted to work with. And so if we don't show up, if we don't make ourselves available, if we don't take that imperfect action and get in front of those people, well, they're never going to be helped. They are never going to be helped. They're always going to be searching for us who is not showing up. So we have to show up as imperfectly, you know, as we are. But as soon as we get out there and we own that we have this gift, that we have this purpose, and it's always in relation to helping others. I mean, again, that's the bottom line. There's, you know, whether you do it with a widget or coaching or, you know, And I mean, anything. It's all about helping people. So it's about finding that thing that you were meant to do. And again, you find it through your challenges, you find it through your dialoguing, but then you go out and you do it, quite frankly, and you just get over the needing to do it perfectly. Because again, I don't feel that anyone, I'll just own up, I didn't do it perfectly at first, and I just keep course correcting along the way. I mean, it's pretty funny when I think about it. I mean, I wish that I had kept, these sort of still lives of my website over the last 6 years, or over, my first article, my first blogs that I ever wrote. I mean, again, I didn't. So I was like, whew, so glad I don't have to hold on to those. But it would, I'm sure, for anyone who's saying, oh, but your website, because I get this all the time from women telling me, oh, but your website, it's so beautiful and I could never do that. I'm like, again, I wish that you could have seen my website 6 years ago. It was a big old mess. But again, it's where I started, right. And I'm so glad that I did that. So I encourage you to do the same. Do it, have it be a mess. But you'll see very quickly that you'll course correct, and you'll get closer and closer to that again, never perfect, but better and better expression of your gifts. I feel like you only get to that better expression by having expressed it imperfectly. I don't feel like there's anyone who does it perfectly at first.
Perfection doesn't exist unless it's something that doesn't move, like a piece of art.
Right.
Other than that, anything that moves is never perfect.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. And you ask any artist who created that piece of that we would deign is the perfect piece of art. I'm sure they're like, oh my gosh, it's like I finally had to just be finished with it because I was sick of looking at it, but it's not perfect by their standards, right? So again, I've had so many friends who were artists that I just have to laugh. Again, there's nothing perfect, and so just to do it. So that's the next critical step, is to just get in action. And if you don't know the next step to take, again, there's always a mentor, right? Again, it's always about just looking for the person who's a few steps ahead of you on the path, or again, the metaphor of the few, rungs ahead of you on the ladder, because that person, I have depended on so many mentors on my path, and I have never met anyone who wasn't willing to share, right? I mean, never have I ever approached anyone where they were like, sorry, don't have any time for you. No, and these were really even important people. Like, I'll never forget having approached Cheryl Richardson at an event 3 years ago. I mean, she's the most famous person I probably ever met. She was happy to give me her time, at this event during a break, right? Again, it's just, there are people who want to help. So again, if you really do feel stuck, like you don't know the next action to take, don't you think the next logical step is to ask, to see the person right ahead of you and ask for help?
What would be the best piece of advice you could give today to someone who may be working in a career, not feeling inspired, gets up and goes to work 9 to 5, hates what they're doing? What nugget could you give them today about course correcting and discovering what they're really meant to do?
It would be, again, the most important thing, because I talk to women every day. I offer free discovery sessions. I call them Live on Purpose discovery sessions. Free, completely complimentary. I mean, again, I am here, right, to be that person for the women who have those questions. Again, they come to me every day saying, I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I know, I mean, again, 5 years ago, people weren't even using the word purpose. I mean, I think there was a best-selling book that was The Purpose-Driven Life, and all of a sudden, purpose started getting some traction. So now people even know that they want to live a purpose-driven life, and they're not. And so again, it's about, like, if women are listening to this, they can just sign up for a discovery session with me. I know you offer complimentary discovery sessions too, because we want to be of service. We want women to know that they don't have to do this alone. And, that we've all struggled with these feelings. I mean, I guess that's the other piece that I would share. That nugget is that this woman who is watching this and feels like, it's great that we found our purpose and that we're helping other women, but that she doesn't see it for herself. I would just entreat that woman, and I would just share that she is not alone, and she is not unique, and she is not broken, and she is not defective, right? Because that's what the women come to me saying, that they somehow feel broken and defective, and it's them. Everyone else can find their purpose, but not them, right? So that's the nugget, is that they are not unique, that I'm talking to hundreds of women like that, again, like 3 or 4 discovery sessions a day. So do the math. I'm not that great at math, but isn't that the same for you, Mel? Aren't you talking to that same woman who's struggling to feel like, she has a purpose, that there's something special about her? Because again, our society has led her to believe that there is something wrong with her and she just needs to buy X thing or do X diet. I mean, again, we all know what the cultural messages are, that we're not enough and that we are somehow defective. But my nugget would be absolutely to know that you are not unique in that, and you are very special, and we can absolutely help you discover that. That's not a problem. The problem is believing that you're not special and you're going to stay hidden because of that. Right.
You have a wonderful free gift for our audience, which is going to help them with this whole process that we've been talking about. You're giving the Purpose and Passion Guidebook. Please describe that a little bit for us.
So that is the title, the Purpose and Passion Guidebook. The subtitle is 6 Steps for Doing Good and Feeling Good. Because again, I just truly believe that when we are taking action in alignment with our true values and with our deepest desires, so those are just, again, other names for purpose, then we are happy. Then we are living this meaningful and vital life where we are helping others. So there are 6 steps. Again, I've talked about quite a few of them here, but people who maybe weren't able to write notes, oh my gosh, just go and download this free gift because it will take you through the 6 steps. But again, it starts with dialoguing with those inner voices. Then it goes to, meditation, because again, it's so much about like distinguishing the voices, is about getting quiet and listening to them, which we're not taught to do as a culture. So you have all 6 steps laid out there. And I promise you, I'm promising the women listening to this call, if they do them, they will find their purpose and they will feel that satisfaction from taking that action, right? Again, I'm going to highlight the word action, in alignment with their true values and their deepest desires.
Stacey, if someone wants to reach out to you for a deeper conversation, please give us your web address again and where they can find you on the site to set up a discovery call.
Thank you so much. Again, so it is just www.staceycurnow.com, and you sign up for the Purpose and Passion Guidebook, which you will receive as a download, but then you immediately get an invitation from me to have one of these completely complimentary discovery sessions. So you can go to the website and read those hundreds of free articles that are absolutely designed to help you find and live your purpose. But if you want to absolutely fast track that process, I would love to have a conversation with your listeners.
Stacey, this has been fun. I always love seeing you. You're just a shining light. I love what you're doing, and really helping people to connect, in some cases midlife, to change gears so that they can step into who they're meant to be. And that's exciting work.
It really is. And thank you so much for having me on this amazing, amazing summit. I thank you so much for creating the space for women to be able to lean in, right? To really know that they can live these incredibly meaningful and satisfying lives. So thank you so much, Mal. It was my pleasure and honor.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Mm, so great to see you.
Bye.
Bye bye.